What's up, guys? Welcome back. What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are going to be going live with Aubrey Marcus in a second. I know some of you guys are joining us from his page, and I'm just typing that in. And we're going to continue the discussion here. Oh, sorry. How do I pin that shit? And when Aubrey requests, I will have him join. Yo, somebody tell me how I pin this. I don't do this a lot. Okay. And I was waiting for Aubrey then. How the fuck do you pin this shit? Anyway.
Yes.
Tap and hold the pin at the top. I don't see a pin at the top. What's up, brother? Fuck it.
What's up?
I was gonna try to pin. I was gonna try to pin the fact that we're doing a live, but I don't have a pin on my screen, so I'm done with it.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Yeah,
We made it. We figured it
yeah.
out.
We're here. We're here. Good to have you back.
Yes, sir.
I think you had the floor, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just talking about what we were talking about on my channel is just finding our own buoyancy and just recognizing that like our buoyancy is something of a choice. I think you got to feel the different levels. You know, like you can't bypass the heavier stuff. Like
Right.
feel it, but you don't
Right.
also have to stay there. Like
No.
you don't have to just stay in that space. And if you are staying in that space, there's some story in your head that's telling you you need to, you should, or you're going into the future and predicating that some future outcome is going to cause you to stay in that space or some situation that's not the way you want it in the world is going to cause you to stay in that low vibration of where you could be in the heavier emotions. Or you can be like, nah, I think it's actually going to work out. And why don't I go to, like, use your phrase, to the future memory where it already has worked out?
Yeah, brother. Like, yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in the future memories and in the visualizations of the future memories. And as I spend more time in those visualizations, they become more and more specific and they become more and more detailed. And that's when they really start working. That's when they start feeling like a memory. Like, so like I want to have our viewers try this at some point in time today or this week. Try to imagine something and then use your memory on something else. And then just see if you can sort of geolocate where in the brain you feel those different things, right? Like if it pings differently, right? If it's localized differently in the brain. And then visualize this thing more and more and more and more and see if it's not going to the memory center. Because I guarantee you, there's really no difference. Just try it.
That's a
Text,
cool, that's a cool
DM one of
practice.
us. Yeah, comment on one of our pages and figure it out, and
That's a
we'll get
cool
back to you.
practice.
It is, man. And I started doing it as a group visualization with Frida and two of my other friends. You and I did something small, but like we're doing something every day with these two other friends we have. And I talked to one of them yesterday, and our visualizations have shifted. Like I saw him in this color suit and he was doing this and I was sitting here. All of a sudden I'm sitting here and the suit has changed. And it changed for him too. Unbeknownst to us, without talking about it, we just sort of said, hey, I'm like, tell me the specifics of your visualization. And I wrote them down and I go, as they change, we're sort of building it geometrically from different parts in the quantum, right? And
Hmm.
we're all visualizing the same thing. So it's really powerful. Really cool, man.
Yeah, that is really cool. And it's
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's the classic mystical wisdom from,
yeah,
that you can get from Christ, which was pray as if it has already been done.
Kingdom of
right?
heaven's inside of you. Yeah, all
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like, so,
yeah.
and it's the same thing that Dr. Joe Dispenza is talking about. When you're talking about these things, it's not like, I pray that this will happen. You go, no, thank you for this happening. And that's the magic of the future memory. Like,
Mm,
thank you for this already having happened. And not only is that
right.
going to give you that peace and that ease and that
Mm,
confidence and that thing that's going to allow you to navigate with pleasure, with joy, with
mm,
excitement, with enthusiasm towards that,
right.
but it's also going to like anchor that possibility in like a future reality in a very interesting way that I don't
Right.
think we quite understand yet, you know?
No, we haven't. I think we have really mistreated intuition and empathy, right? Like how many illogical or irrational decisions have you made in your life? I know a few, and that have
Lots.
but that have turned out really well
Hmm.
for you. They've been the right decision, right? So like I think we got stuck in this logic and this rationality after the Renaissance, right? Like we got stuck in this, that this was what we should be using as a social metric to move forward. But we really taken a whole large part of our being, especially the divine feminine part of our being, and said, go fuck yourself,
Hmm.
right? And that is the manifestation energy. That is the nurturing energy of a vision. Nurturing that vision is what makes it real. And
Yeah.
so like I'm excited for us to move forward in that. Truly.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, you mentioned that divine feminine energy, and I was on a call the other day, and someone, you know, a lot of times we talk about the heart, you know, and
Mhm.
obviously there's the physical heart, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the source of love, the source of
Right.
interconnected love that we have
Right.
inside. And that's, you know, perhaps the most powerful force in our body, but there's also a force in the divine feminine, which is the womb energy, like the source of creation, the creation energy. And like
Yeah.
we men may not have a physical womb, but it
We have
doesn't
an
mean that
energetic
we
one
don't
though.
have womb energy where
We
we
have an
can go
energetic
in
one.
exactly and like
Yeah.
tap into the womb energy as well as the heart energy, as well as like
Yeah.
the third eye and crown energy.
Yeah.
Like it's like really understanding like what we have the ability to kind of I mean, if you want just purely from an imagination standpoint, or
Right.
if you want to believe in something more metaphysical from a more metaphysical energetic standpoint.
Mm. Yeah, and I've been kind of like delving into chakras for the last 3 years or so, and so like, what I'm understanding about chakras is that there are these gateways or these portals to access your full energy. So like that sacral chakra is the energetic womb
Hmm.
for mankind, for the divine masculine, right? And so it's almost like trusting the gut is being impregnated with something that is potentially going to be alive.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's really fucking interesting. Like whenever I've trusted my gut, I've birthed some sort of new life.
Yeah, truth.
You know
And
what I
there's
mean?
these
Like
little clues. We have these
it's
little
fucking
clues in
yeah.
our language, right? Like, why do we
Mhm.
say trust your gut? You know, like, why do we say that? It's like a little clue, like some wisdom that was encoded in
Yeah.
something that somebody randomly said and something that we feel to be true. And because we feel it to be true, we keep saying it. Well, you
Yeah.
know, you just got to go with your gut. Well,
It's
what is
it
that?
yeah, it's listen, I think it's all codes. I think it's all
Yeah.
codes. I think trusting guts is like, and once again, maybe that goes back to the Renaissance where once again we exalted logic and rationality. You know, Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Well, is that the only reason you are?
No, he got it backward. He put his quote on backwards. He like
He
put
put
his,
his
you know, when
quote.
you put your shirt on backwards, it's
Yep.
I am, therefore I think.
Yeah. Listen, your shirt still works on backwards. It's just not. You're just not wearing it right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, like so. I mean, I think. Listen, I don't think we're gonna destroy 17th and 18th century philosophers on this call, but I think one thing that we can do is expand on their knowledge, right?
Of
And
course.
expand on the knowledge with the access that we have today, which is you're not alive because you think. That is not why you exist.
Hmm.
You exist because you exist. And
Yeah.
finding purpose in that existence, yeah, you're right. It's backwards. It's backwards, man. But it goes to show you. I think trusting the gut, I think, is that sort of code and that wisdom that that somebody put out there because they knew that we were falling too much into the rationality, exalting too much of logic and rationality, and that's great for one part of life. It's great for one part of life. It's great for building capitalism. It's great for building a democracy. Yeah, cool. But is that great for personal happiness? Is that great for dismantling tyrannical behavior within the family? I don't know. I don't know. You know? So
Yeah. Yeah, and just looking at that philosophy too, it's also a product of what was going on in the external. Like when you're in a time where religion was capital R religion had really completely flipped all real spiritual truth on its head, where you're not supposed to love God, you're supposed to fear God. Like
right.
what? Like
Right.
you got that again, you got it all on backwards. You
Yeah, it
know
was
what I
like
mean? Like,
God, it was like you owed God money. It was like, what the fuck?
like he's a fucking tax man coming. Like, but you're in this period where like the church is killing people and torturing people. I mean, we're coming off inquisitions and different
centuries.
like all kinds of like crazy shit. And so they're like, no, let's start using our head. And then it was kind of a counter reaction to the illogic of this, blind faith in an untruth. So they're like, no, let's start critically thinking. And I think
Right.
that's what that Enlightenment period was critical thinking against a religiously oppressive time. But
Right.
now we don't have that same environment. So now it's time to find the medium. Like the pendulum swung one way over here, where it was like,
Right.
all right, we got to start using our head because this shit is ridiculous. Like we can't be guilty and ashamed of our sexual desire because every animal on the planet has sexual desire. There's no such thing as original sin, and we're always in debt from the fucking moment we're born to the moment we're dead. That doesn't make any sense. So
Ridiculous.
like let's use our brain and come over here.
Yeah.
And then now I think we're starting to put the pendulum back to that middle point where we can harmonize both critical thinking, logic, and bring in our own experiential spiritual truth.
That's true. So I guess it was the Enlightenment. I guess it wasn't the Renaissance. So what did the Renaissance usher in then? If it wasn't really because you're right, the Enlightenment ushered in rationality and logic.
I think they're both kind of the same thing. It was really both shedding all of these old dogmas and superstitions and capital R religions that were kind of really tyrannical. I mean that was the nature of the world then, and saying like no, let's think like a little bit more critically here.
Which this is a fantastic time to be alive, to be able to bridge those two, to take the intuition and the empathy that we have and the power that comes with that, trusting the gut and understanding what that means and not being sort of lost in the mysticism or directional mysticism that someone gives you, and also using your head and being rational and having access to facts and information. This is the most exciting time to be alive, and we chose to be alive at this time. Come on, this is fucking great. I love this. I love this, man. Like I'm excited. I'm excited to bring children into the world that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I'm excited for that.
I mean, just think about how different the idea of parenting is now, with just like the information that we have and like the way that we understand love, like the way that we understand teaching how using love as a carrot and a stick to try and train somebody. We're like, oh, you fucking scored 30. Here's your little love, quotient from your pops today. Because you did well on the basketball court. That is a shitty way to kind of guide behavior. Using that as like that should be there no matter what.
Absolutely.
Like all right,
Absolutely.
like talk to them about like practicing more, like maybe you need to work on your crossover or something like that. If you're not playing well, like that's fine, but it doesn't mean you love them less. Like that's a shitty way to motivate a kid. Just like because then they internalize that, and then they're not going to love themselves unless they play well, and then everything all the love that they get is going to be based on some external source rather than the ubiquitous, ever-present wellspring of love that we all have inside and that we should all have for each other. And that simple thing, extrapolated to like a lifetime of parenting is fucking massive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's a lot different than parenting in our days. It's like, get the fuck out of here and come back when the streetlights come on.
Right.
Love you, but you know,
Yeah.
fucking get out of here. Get out of my fucking hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh
mean, and
man.
also treating kids like, instead of like young souls, we treat them like little idiots,
Yeah, we do.
like that need to be like, little idiot, just distract yourself. And like, I think there's just a whole different approach. And I think this next generation that we have the opportunity, yeah, there's going to be challenges, but you know what? There's always been fucking challenges.
Right.
Like generations past, there was massive global armed conflicts, and there was also pandemics. I mean, Spanish flu was 1918. That wasn't too long ago. There was some
Yeah.
serious gnarly shit. There's always serious gnarly shit. Everybody extrapolates that the new gnarly shit, maybe it's
It's the
okay.
worst. Oh my
It's
God,
the
it's the
worst
worst.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
5G
Yeah.
and the environment and all of this other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, there's going to be some shit, but there's always been some
Yeah.
shit. So
Always
but
been shit.
how do we prepare ourselves and like the next generation to come through that shit shining?
Do you think that 5Gers and flat earthers are cousins? I'm just,
No.
I'm just
I mean,
asking. I'm just
well,
asking.
because flat
They're not
earth.
the same. They're definitely not the same level. I'm just asking, are they at the same family reunion? Are they breaking bread together? That's what I want to know.
Uh,
What do you
I
think on
mean,
that?
no, because I have at least a question mark about 5G. I'm not a
Yeah,
5Ger,
yeah,
but I got like
me either.
there's like a blinking cursor with a question mark. But if you're a flat earther, it's like, huh, what? There's something broken in there. Like someone needs to get in and they need to like go in your brain and like find out where the pieces are missing. And then I think you gotta like fuse a few different fucking wires. Like it's like broken versus like you can get way indulgent, but
Yeah,
fuck,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Yeah. Listen, I had a friend who we were cool for a while, and then like we Frida and I went to brunch with him. We're in San Francisco. We go to brunch with him, and like he's like, I got this secret I got to tell you, man. I got like, you're like what I'm working on, and this is his business. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go out. He's an investment banker kind of guy, and we're at brunch, and he's like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you till we learn more about each other. And I was like, bro, you can't do that. Like, what the fuck is that? And he starts going off about how the Earth is flat for a good 30 minutes, and I'm just sitting there like thinking, can I be friends with this guy? And then I go at the end of his rant, I go, okay, now what? He goes, what do you mean? I go, they're lying to us. I go, they've always been lying to us. He's like, yeah, but what if the plane was just flat and there was so much land over there, and all this thing, and they're lying to you about this? I go, so now what? and like, so the funniest thing is I've done this to 3 flat earthers. Where you hear them out and you go, so now what? They go, so I just think I think flat earthing is just like this result of being bored and privileged that you got nothing else to worry about. Motherfuckers are starving, bro. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of violence going on in the world. There's a lot of inequity, and you're worried about the shape of the plane. Okay, you
Yeah.
got a lot of time in your motherfucking
You
hands.
and you know what else it is? I think it's like people want to feel special. And
Yeah,
if you can feel special because you know something, like somewhere in him telling you that was him being like, I got a special piece of knowledge. I
I
got a
want to let
special
you in on a
secret.
secret. Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to
because
let you in on a secret.
I have something that nobody else knows and it's special. And I think that's the
Yeah,
core. So in that way, that's the way it's related to all conspiracies. Now, some conspiracies are true and some clearly aren't, like flat earth, but the core of it is I think our desire to believe that we know something that nobody else knows
yeah,
is strong because it's something that inflates our ego,
yeah.
and it doesn't discredit the fact that, but we just have to be mindful of the cognitive bias towards having a secret that other people
Hmm.
don't know. Like we
Right,
like that. It gives us like a sense of power
right,
and purpose and importance
yeah,
and specialness. And
right.
so anything that somebody engages in, we have to be mindful, like, okay, maybe, but like, let's be wary of the way that our mind is going to grasp for that, for our own egoic purpose.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because like that ego once again, like you and I have had multiple discussions about befriending the ego,
Mm-hmm.
because when you befriend the ego, it doesn't come out in ways that are ineffective to your whole, right? It's sort of like becomes this tool that you can use to your advantage rather than like, hey, Macabre, listen to me. Tell everybody the earth is flat so that you feel important. It's special. What?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like, I think I'm good on that. I
Yeah.
got better shit to do. So
Yeah.
it's also people, I think just this really fucked up relationship we have with the ego. Like, we think it's supposed to be this thing that we're supposed to fight against. So for some reason, I don't know when we got this in our head. I'd love to research this, actually. Maybe we can talk about this next time. But we got this thing in our head as human beings where we need an external enemy to feel validated or feel secure in our place or something. I don't really know the syntax for that, but like somehow we need an enemy to feel that we're validated in our space. And if we don't have an external enemy, then we use our own ego, right? So we're always constantly in conflict and fighting something to make us feel validated about our space. What if you just said, fuck that? My 4-year-old nephew is friends with his ego. He's got a name for it. It's called imaginary friend. These motherfuckers play all day.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, he's happy and you're fighting your ego. What's the difference here? There's something about that. I'm gonna look that up because I really want to explore when did we start thinking that way? Because a lot of cultures don't think that way. And one, your ego's with you from the moment of your birth. So
Inexorable.
So how are you gonna fucking be in conflict your entire life? Why are you gonna do that? Befriend whatever you're fighting. Have some nurturing energy for that. Have some compassion for it.
Yeah, I mean, what you resist persists. You know, the idea that you fight, squash, you know, cast out, you know, exile all of these different parts of yourself, that's just going to make them stronger. You know, like, you know what makes the monster that hides under your bed scarier? Not looking under the bed. You know, like not like looking at it and being like, hey, like, what's up? You know, like it's just like the more you like leave it outside of you and say it's not you, then it becomes more powerful. I think people I think they misdefine the ego a lot. I think they talk about it as like the exaggerated ego, the selfish aspects of it. But the ego is much more holistic than that. You know, it is just our sense. I understand it is just our sense of separateness. It's the thing that keeps us from collapsing into the pure unicity, which is a part of us as well. But like the ego allows us to be separate. It allows us to move love around and kiss somebody else and like feel our own distinct things. You know, but yeah, it can get exaggerated and overblown, but then that becomes like selfishness, greed, hubris, you know, all of these other aspects, which are just small aspects of this thing that we're villainizing.
And I also think it's like, it's people's unwillingness to take responsibility for their own relationship with hubris or with selfishness and greed and avarice, because it's like, if I could just put that on my ego, it's not really me.
Right.
I don't have to really take responsibility for all the fucked up shit in my head and my heart. Like, well, okay, you can just blame your ego and fight your ego all day, but you're still doing the same thing, just in a roundabout way. So it's almost like we got to change our connection with that. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you this before we go.
Okay.
What is the most challenging thing that you've found about this whole quarantine, about the social distancing, and how have you gotten through it?
I would say the most challenging thing is actually the people that I love that are going through challenging experiences.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the thing that's the hardest. When I talk to somebody who's, it's a bummer not seeing my mom. You know, my mom's in her 70s and, you know, I would have seen her by now. But we talk and it's, you know, there's been stretches where I haven't seen her for a while. And that's a bummer. But the hard part, the part that hits me is when, like, you know, I have a friend who just opened 2 amazing restaurants and a lounge out here, and they're employing some of my other friends. His name's Jack. And like when I see him when this happens with tears in his eyes, knowing he just worked his ass off to finally open his 2 places, they're crushing it. Now they're closed. And now he has to figure out how he's going to get enough money to keep his employees and pay people. And like, there's that kind of heartbreak. And then there's people who've had their family affected by medical stuff. And then there's people who just, this external environment has caused shifts, and these shifts are initially very painful medicine, like going from something that's been known to the unknown, or causing this transformation.
Healing
So
hurts.
it can hurt. And so I
Healing
think that
hurts.
the empathy and the empathy that I have for the people who are really struggling, because I personally haven't myself, but my empathy for those who have has been the hardest part for me, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. I'm happy we could do this. And just any advice for people about consciousness? Because if those of you guys who don't know, who are just tuning in, who are on my feed, who don't know Aubrey, you should be following him, because he's I'd say he's probably the closest thing I have to a friend / guru in my life.
Brother.
Yeah.
I feel the same, man. We both play that role for each other.
We do actually, and that's a really beautiful thing. And if you guys have that in somebody, nurture that relationship. But I would say that when I don't have an answer, I can always go to him. So, what's your parting gift here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that parlays into what could be a great parting gift, is that we keep in touch with a lot of people and spend a lot of energy and time spent with a lot of people that aren't accretive to our life, that don't actually like bring us the most radical sense of fulfillment, but it's just habit. These are our drinking buddies. These are okay, we're going out. Let's call the same crew. Let's do the same thing. Like this has really made me much more mindful about the people who I want to get on the phone with, and the people who I want to talk to, and the people who I know that at the end of the conversation with them, someone like yourself, like I'm going to feel happier and better, and like my day's going to be better. Like after I talked to you for 20 minutes yesterday, like I felt better the rest of the day. And like those are the type of people that we can really double down on our relationships with now, and hopefully carry that forward. Is just like, who are these people that really, when we're connecting with, it's something that's really additive to our life.
Yeah, I call that a livid instead of a diet. And what I mean by that is, yes, I was drinking coffee. Yes, I was drinking electrolyte water in here.
Oh shit!
Yeah, woo shit. With essential oils, and yes, I'm about to have like a really lean meal and all that kind of stuff. But what are you watching? Are you listening to aggressive music? Are you listening to peaceful music? Who are you talking to? Are they leading with courage and abundance and love, or are they leading with fear and sadness? And what are you ingesting through eyes, ears, and your mouth? Like what's your living?
Yeah.
And I think you're right, man. Just like this disruption in pattern is also making me, and I think a lot of other people, just realize who they want to be around, where they want to be, and how to spend their fucking lives. And when all this comes back together, I hope we can keep that intact. I hope that I don't feel like going and drinking with you guys. No offense, love you. I don't feel like it. You guys, when I come back, I don't feel great.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, man.
Yeah,
that's
brother.
it.
Let's do this again soon sometime, man.
We will, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Give Frida some love, and I'll talk to you soon, my man.
Much love to you.
All right. Love you, brother.
All right. Love you.